I think the ICC is a realization that in 2022 we've got a long way to go, that peace is not the default state of affairs of humanity. Peace has to be worked at, and when there are crimes within our jurisdiction, genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes, there must be justice, there must be accountability. The days should have gone past many millennia ago where people feel they can do what they want and get away with murder or rapes or attacking children. And so the ICC is this coming together of states, 123 state parties, that in an ideal world say never again. And they've created a court that is meant to act upon that promise. Now we've got a long way to go, but the fact we have a court, the fact we have a statute, the fact that we have these legal norms is an important one if we want to have peace and stability and security for men and women and children everywhere. It's a really profound question. Human behavior can be terribly depressing when you look at the worst examples of humanity. If one looks at the Holocaust, if one looks at the camps in the former Yugoslavia, or the killing fields of Cambodia, or the almost 800,000 people killed in 100 days in Rwanda, or you look at events that we're seeing around the world today, you look at many times the worst manifestations of humanity. But in the same space, you see these wonderful heroes, people that cling to the hope of justice, that are wanting to live with their lives, that really inspire all of us. These are the unsung heroes that we are here to advocate for and to try to ensure justice. But the world is exceptionally complex, and I think one of the difficulties is trying to make it too simplistic. The rule of law is critical. It is one of the anchors for peace and security and stability, but it can't work in isolation. It's not a panacea for all ills, and we need to pay regard to education of children. Religious diversity, speaking to communities, identifying the commonality of our humanity instead of just magnifying the differences, whether that's religious or ethnic or political. We should try to deliberately try to identify where do we find common ground. And I think, when you look at diseases, allocation of resources, the world is complex, but what the ICC has to do is try to maintain these minimum principles, that whatever the differences, certain acts are not okay, and there has to be some deliberate effort to make sure there's accountability and investigations to vindicate the rights of survivors, that their lives matters. However poor they are, whichever part of the world they come from, their lives have value, and I think that's why we have an ICC. We do have hope, because you look at the youngsters out there, you look at the most invested part of our society for environmental change, for realizing that our future of our planet is not a given. We have finite resources, and how we respect the planet is critical to the survival of the species. The Secretary General has just said now about the floods we have in Pakistan. We've seen unusually hot weather in Europe and fires everywhere else. So this is all part of accountability. I think that's part of the solution. We need to realize that in a blink of an eye, we're all gone. We're not here. We are momentary. We have a momentary sojourn on planet Earth, and whether it's accountability to the planet, or whether it's accountability, to our fellow man and woman and children for basic standards, whether it's accountability of how we share resources, realizing the worth of every human being that is born, all of this is important if we wish to build a better society. Now, you look at where humanity's come from. The world can be depressing, but we've come a long way. Now people in villages and cities around the world talk about The Hague. They talk about international justice. There is a United Nations. It's flawed. It's not fully effective. But the point is, there are fora in which people can come together and speak in a respectful environment. And I think, look at the medieval times, when it was, look at the Romans. Do you live or do you die? We've made progress, but we've got to realize we've got a way to go. And I think the ultimate message is every single person that is watching, every single person that believes and wants to have a better life and a better planet for the future can't be spectators. The future is too important to leave to the politicians. The future is too important to leave to the lawyers and to the judges. The future is yours. The future is ours. And the only way we're going to have a better future is for everybody to do their bit, to speak up, to act out, and to try to be the best version of themselves. And then everybody can be a leader in their families, in the family setting, in their street, in their society, and they can motivate. And I think once you realize each of us can be a catalyst, a positive catalyst for change, suddenly the latent, wonderful potential of the species, of our humanity, can be this wonderful light that can inspire so many. And that's how we all inspired. Look at Nelson Mandela. And there are so many other examples. In the religious sense, you look at prophets, you look at some individuals that seem to be bigger than their time. And why? Generally, it's their kindness and it's their willingness to plug into some universal verisimilitudes, which is the best of us. I think it's probably a combination of things. By nature, of course, the environment is very important. I was very blessed with my parents, and I think the values that they inculcated. I hated always bullying, and had an allergic reaction against bullies, and so that was something I think very important in terms of this area of law. Also, I come from a community, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, that was persecuted. They're killed and they are attacked, and it's a criminal offence in some countries like Pakistan to purport in any way to be a Muslim. And this kind of unfairness is something that I felt very keenly, and it was met with, as a youngster, I remember being told, that our motto of the community was love for all, hatred for none. And I thought, wow, that's something very special, that when you are met with violence and people are killed and their houses are burnt and they're targeted, the response is not violence, it's not hate, it is love. And I think probably that, in my formative years as a child, had an important role in terms of my gravitation towards human rights and international law. Be active. I mean, for me, everything starts with try and be truthful, try and be kind, and then feel that the best version of yourself is you. If you view yourself as marginalized, you tend to be marginalized. If you tend to view yourself as on the periphery, one tends to be in the periphery, literally, in a group of people. That person will go to the edges. If you view that your voice matters, you have that confidence to allow your voice to be heard, regardless of your accent, regardless of your first language or your second language, the world is yours. And particularly to the youngsters, to the next generation, this world is stunningly beautiful. When you go to the Arctic, when you go to the safaris of Africa, when you go to the rolling countryside of Europe, you see this astonishing beauty of God, of creation. It's worth being invested in because it's yours. And it's not something that is bequeathed by a parent, it's something that has been given by virtue of your birth. And if you view it as yours, I think the world can be transformed to a far better place, but it takes effort. It will not descend like manna from heaven on a silver platter. The best things in life, whether it's a gold medal in the Olympics, you've got to work on it. And if we work, we can make the world better and build upon what the wonderful examples of the past, and hopefully see less of the worst underbelly of humanity. And both are needed to reduce the space for impunity, for violence, for bullying, for corruption and coercion, and increase the space for imagination and courage and really kindness. And I think that will be the new gravitational pull that will help us go to a better future.